A man is jolted awake by strange noises. He heads downstairs, realizing he's in danger. Grabbing a weapon, he comes face to face with burglars who hold him at gunpoint, demanding valuables. There's not much to steal, so they take his watch. As they attempt to take his ring, his son Blake intervenes with a WWE-style takedown, knocking one out. Hutch, the man, readies his golf club to attack but pauses, then tells Blake to let the burglar go. Blake hesitates, but eventually follows his father's command, leaving the intruder to thank them before fleeing. The next morning, the police arrive and reveal that the burglars got in using a sophisticated trick involving a pizza box. Blake scolds his dad, insisting they could have caught them, while one of the officers assures Hutch he made the right call. However, another officer disagrees, suggesting he would have handled things differently if it were his family. That night, Hutch reflects on the incident as his daughter asks for a cat. The following morning, Blake mentions he has to write a paper on war veterans and asks if he can write about his dad. Hutch, downplaying his own history, says he was just an auditor, not a soldier. But he adds that Blake's grandfather saw some action. Hutch's wife Becca exchanges a sympathetic glance before leaving with the kids. As Hutch heads out, who heard about the incident, jokes that he wishes the burglars had targeted his place. He could have used the exercise. Hutch spots Jeff's fancy new car, fueling his simmering frustration. Later at work, Becca's brother Charlie approaches Hutch, offering him a gun. Hutch, trying to maintain his calm, talks to his father-in-law Eddie about buying the business, but Eddie declines, saying he's put too much into it to sell for less than a great offer. Hutch reflects on the incident, drawing a tattoo he noticed on one of the burglars, then goes to a secret room in his home, where he pulls out an old radio. He tunes in and contacts a man named Harry. Harry, aware of what happened, warns Hutch not to do anything reckless, though it's clear Hutch is already planning his next move. He visits his father, who reminisces about the man Hutch used to be. Back home, his daughter's innocent question about her missing kitty cat bracelet ignites something in Hutch. Determined, he heads to his dad's place, retrieves his old FBI badge and a revolver, and tells his dad, "There's something I need to do." His father simply replies, "Then you better go do it." Hutch starts visiting tattoo parlors, hunting down his attackers. He finds a group of men but quickly realizes they won't be intimidated by his expired badge. When one of them pulls out brass knuckles, Hutch flashes some cash, daring them to take it. Suddenly, one of them spots a tattoo on Hutch's wrist and freezes in fear, thanking him for his service before disappearing. The rest of the group immediately backs down. With the information he needs, Hutch tracks down the burglars and confronts them. They're revealed to be a struggling couple, and after retrieving his watch, Hutch demands the return of his daughter's bracelet. They don't know where it is, but as Hutch searches their home, he finds a sick baby. Realizing they're just a family down on their luck, Hutch leaves, frustrated. As he heads home in the rain, he decides to vent his anger by practicing boxing. On his way back, a car full of drunk men speeds up and stops near his bus. Sensing a chance to blow off some steam, Hutch prays for the confrontation. The men board the bus and begin harassing a woman, so Hutch escorts the bus driver off and holds onto her phone for safekeeping. A Russian man among the group mocks Hutch, calling him an old man. Instead of pulling his gun, Hutch decides to fight. What follows is an intense brawl. Hutch delivers a brutal mix of punches, slashes, and strikes. After a brief pause, he frees the woman and then finishes off his assailants. When one of them tries to grab Hutch's gun, Hutch counters by crushing the man's throat, causing him to choke. With no hesitation, Hutch performs a makeshift surgery, saving the man's life before walking away. Hutch returns home, battered and bruised. His wife patches him up, understanding that her husband is returning to his old ways. For the first time in a while, Hutch can sleep peacefully. Meanwhile, we are introduced to a Russian mobster named Julian, singing and dancing in a nightclub. His associates express concern that he's lost his edge, but Julian swiftly reassures them that he's still the dangerous man they know. Julian and his crew toast to his triumphant return, but then we cut to the hospital where his younger brother, the Russian from the bus, lies beaten. Looking for answers, Julian roughs up his brother's friends and finds Hutch's bus car among their belongings. Julian takes it to a hacker friend, and after some investigation, they discover the car belonged to Hutch's father. Using blackmail, Julian's hacker gets a favor from someone at the Pentagon. But oddly enough, there's no trace of Hutch anywhere. Alarmed, she digs deeper and realizes Hutch is no ordinary guy. He's the real deal. Not wanting to get involved, the hacker quits on the spot. Meanwhile, Hutch is in better spirits, but Harry warns him that trouble is on the horizon. Julian is not someone to take lightly. Hutch visits a quirky barber, who fills him in on Julian's background. Julian is a big-time Russian mob boss responsible for protecting the Obshak, a massive mafia savings account. Back at home, Hutch senses danger as Julian's men approach. He calmly guides his family to safety in the basement, kissing Becca before things go down. As the intruders storm in, Hutch takes them out one by one, using anything at his disposal, from a kettle to a lasagna, to creatively deal damage. Eventually, though, he's overpowered and dragged to a car. But Hutch isn't done yet. Regaining consciousness, he breaks his own thumb to free himself, blinds his captors, and causes their car to crash into a pole. With one of the attackers dying, Hutch tells him who he is, an auditor, the guy they call when no one is supposed to be left alive. With that, the man dies. Hutch heads back home, frees his family, and sends them to safety. He then rounds up Julian's remaining goons and takes them to the basement. There he shares a story. Once he let someone live, and a year later, the man had turned his life around. Hutch admits that, while not a jealous person, he felt a pang of envy seeing the man happy with a family. The lesson doesn't last long as Hutch eliminates all the goons. Amid the chaos, he finally finds his daughter's kitty cat bracelet. Afterward, Hutch burns down the basement and takes Jeff's car for a joyride. Meanwhile, Julian's men pay a visit to Hutch's father, expecting to find an easy target, but the old man surprises them by taking care of business. Back with Hutch, he secures the business deal he wanted, though Charlie is furious. He argues that they put too much work into the business to just give it up, but Hutch knows Charlie will eventually come around. We then see a montage of Hutch setting up booby traps in a warehouse as he prepares for the final confrontation. Before the big showdown, Hutch has one last conversation with Harry, who strongly urges him to quit while he's ahead. But Hutch is set on seeing things through. He storms into the Obshak's headquarters, taking out countless goons in a slow-motion action sequence before setting the mafia's money ablaze. It's not about the money he uses, it's about sending a message. Later, Hutch heads to Julian's nightclub, casually enjoying the show. Tensions quickly rise between the two, but Hutch reveals he has an insurance plan in place. Trying to cool things down, he offers Julian a way out, saying they can walk away and rebuild. Julian, unfazed, laughs as Hutch admits, "I already burned the Obshak down." As Hutch leaves, it becomes clear that Julian has no intention of backing down. A high-speed chase ensues, and things quickly spiral into chaos as both men prepare for a final showdown. Hutch gets hit by a car and crashes into a group of furious Russians. But he's prepared. Pulling a mini Uzi from the glove compartment, he fires off rounds while swerving to safety. They head to the warehouse for the final battle, and things escalate fast. Hutch ducks behind his car for cover, but just when it looks bad, Harry appears, sniping enemies from afar while Hutch's dad joins in too. The trio is back in action. Hutch's dad reflects on how retirement never suited him, and now he's thrilled to be fighting alongside his son again. As the Russians storm the warehouse, Hutch and his dad blast through their ranks. Hutch activates a hydraulic press to set off a grenade remotely, showcasing his knack for inventive mayhem. Nowhere is safe, not even the stairs. Harry scores a clean triple kill before trapping a Russian in barbed wire and sending him up to heaven. Meanwhile, Hutch finalizes his elaborate traps, updating his mousetrap in the midst of the chaos. Even during the fight, hunger strikes. Hutch, clearly multitasking, grabs his claymore and makes quick work of more enemies. As he and his crew blast through the Russians in stylish slow motion, Harry runs out of ammo. Hutch saves the day, and the two stand back to back, just like in the old days. By the end, only Julian is left standing. Hutch tapes a claymore to a riot shield and charges forward, eliminating Julian in a highly effective and explosive move. Amid the wreckage, Hutch finds a cat, which is sure to delight his daughter. We then flash forward to the scene from the movie's beginning, where detectives question Hutch as he calmly feeds his new kitten. But before they can get too far, a phone call comes in, and Hutch is free to leave. In the final moments, we see Hutch and Becca shopping for a new house. It's got all the amenities, but Hutch has one question. Does it have a basement? In the after-credits scene, Harry and Hutch's dad are seen chatting as they head off on a new mission, proving that John Wick with boomers definitely works.